All the ground rules are the exact same as I mentioned before, the state senator race form. And so again, you will have 2 minutes to do the opening statement, and the coin toss was won by the Democrats, so we will have the Democratic candidate go first for the 2-minute statement.
Good evening. My name is Lori Geschwander, and I'm a candidate for Adams County Circuit Clerk. I was born and raised in Adams County. I have been married to my husband Tom for 21 years, and we have 2 beautiful daughters. I'm often asked, I have been over the course of my campaign, what does the Circuit Clerk's office do? Well, last year we filed over 15,000 new court cases, some of which include traffic tickets, divorces, small claims, criminal cases, and estates, just to name a few. Once filed, we're responsible for going to court on those cases as they come up on the court docket, and then when we come back, we have to update not only the paper file, but the computer file as well. The office collects several $million over the course of a year, all of which every month has to be divvied out to all of the many state and local agencies that it belongs to. We also process child support payments and passport applications. We have a wonderful staff, many of who are here tonight. They work very well together. Most of them have been there for well over 10 years and are cross-trained to make the office as efficient as possible. I have a total of 18 years experience in the Circuit Clerk's office. For the past 15 years, I've served as Deputy Circuit Clerk, both with Glenn Holtz and our current Circuit Clerk, Randy Fries. I run the day-to-day operation of the office and supervise the 13 employees that we have. I have a very good working relationship with the staff, as well as our judges, attorneys, and other court personnel. This, along with my years of experience, will allow for a seamless transition for everyone involved in the court system, and I feel that makes me the most qualified candidate for the job. Thank you.
I want to thank the League for this opportunity, to the panel, to all of you here and at home, and to you too, Lori. This election is about experience. I believe that my knowledge of government, my knowledge of the legislative process, my ability to communicate and to work with people is the right experience at the right time. It's also about the ability to speak up and speak out about what's good and what's not so good. But also, one has to be able to listen as well. I've said from the very beginning of this campaign, some 14 months ago, that I would not take a county pension or health insurance, that I do not believe in double dipping. My opponent is either not listening or doesn't want to hear. It's not my estimate that it saves the county a minimum of $52,000 over the 4-year term. That comes from the chairman of the County Finance Committee. My opponent says she's never been elected. She's an elected union steward. She's in the union of a 2-person bargaining unit. She said to the Herald Whig that one of the weaknesses of the Circuit Clerk's office is to quote, and I quote, budget restraints. She went on to say that it's hard to keep employees when you can't give them a raise. Earlier this year, there was a resolution presented to raise salaries of elected county officials up for election at this time. I went to the Finance Committee twice to speak against this raise. I didn't hear anything out of my opponent, and this resolution did fail. Leadership, experience, and knowledge of the process, and the ability to work with people, this is what I bring to this race, and I truly look forward to your questions.
Thank you. And speaking of which, now it's time for our panelists to ask their questions.
The circuit clerk's job, as described by state statute, is a practical management position. What is your management approach, and how do you expect to function as office administrator day to day?
Well, I feel like I have been doing that on a day-to-day basis. In Mr. Fries' absence, when he is not there, I am the office supervisor. I listen to my employees. I that makes, that's how our office works. We listen to our people, we find out the best way to handle things, and it's worked very efficiently over the past 15 years.
I believe that my experience again in government and my knowledge of the government process is very important. I worked in Springfield for 21 years and ran a constituent office here in Quincy, Macomb, and Jacksonville. Working with constituents and helping their problems and dealing with the day-to-day operations of an office is something that I've done for many years. I had a leadership position in the Illinois Senate and dealt with the leadership of my caucus. I think that it takes more to be an elected official than just running the management of the day-to-day operations. I think it takes someone who can work with people, talk to people, communicate people, and care about people.
We heard a short while ago the current circuit clerk, Randy Freeze, mentioned that he's been under budget 6 out of 7 years. Would you plan on holding expenses in line, holding line on the budget, or do you foresee things that needed to be done or additions need to be made where the budget would need to be increased?
The budget, the county board has said that they are going to freeze the budgets for this year or for next year. And I think what's important is that we have to live up to the obligations to our employees. That is absolutely first. And there is a 2% raise included in that obligation. I think we need to make sure, the critical part is that we make sure that the duties of the office are maintained. And I think that we have areas in technology, the digitizing of the documents is vitally important, because one of the other, besides salaries for the budget, is the cost of document storage. And the more digitizing that we can do, the less cost for storage.
Budget restraints are hard for everybody right now. And yes, I will live within those means. I run my budget at home. I can do that within the office, and we'll live within our means. That said, there are technology advancements that are coming out, and we will need them, definitely, but not at the cost of good employees. I can save the county money, if elected, by not replacing a person, which will definitely save monies and hopefully keep those good employees that we do have and be able to live within our budget.
This is more of a follow-up to what Nan asked, because he was talking about budget constraints, and you both mentioned technology and some things. Looking forward, we don't see that there's going to be an immediate end to the budget problems. Looking forward, is there another step that each of you would take in being able to manage the office with less?
Well, as I said, if elected, I do not intend to replace that position, at least for the time being. There are many advancements coming through that hopefully will save us some time and money. Most recently, the Supreme Court announcement that they are going to be allowing electronic filing of court documents in civil cases. We've already streamlined our appeals process through the pilot project for the appeals process and sending them electronically, which saves our office time and money in postage. So I could do that.
I would agree with most of that, but the problem that we're facing is we have immediate budget freeze or immediate restraint, but like what just happened recently was in the paper, the legislature has underfunded the elections, and there is going to be more and more. And unfortunately, the two largest costs within the budget are salaries and documents, document storage. So there's a big concern there, and I think that we all tighten our belts. I live within my means as well, and we all tighten our belts and we'll do the best we can.
In the various duties of the circuit clerk's office, what do you think needs the most improvement?
I think the most important thing that we can do in the future is how we distribute the funds that are collected. Everybody I've talked to, whether it's judges, other clerks, one of the first things I did when I went to the other clerk's offices, they used the word nightmare, that the distributions of funds to how they go to the state and all the various, I think John even mentioned it in the last thing, how it's all sent around. I feel that my knowledge and my ability to work in the legislative process will be able to make changes that will be positive to all the circuit clerks and get money to the advocate groups and to the various entities where they're distributed quicker and in a faster fashion.
Well, as far as the money distribution, I do that every month. So I don't feel like it's a huge issue. Yes, I'm sure there are ways to possibly streamline it some, but I don't find it to be an issue. It's usually done within a day or two, and it's out to all of the agencies that it needs to go to. As far as, anything that, I'm sorry, could you repeat your question?
What needs the most improvement?
I feel our office works very efficiently. I would say technology is always something that needs to be improved upon, but there again, we're at the mercy of our budget to be able to do that. So as money becomes available or we come up with other ways to fund it, definitely our technology could be some improvement.
You mentioned obviously a lot of questions about what does the circuit clerk do, and the reason people ask is because they have to find out what you do. Things have gone bad in their life. What can you do for the office to make it as people-friendly as possible to help somebody through the court system to make a bad day as smooth and easy as possible?
Well, I feel our employees are the backbone of the office. They do a wonderful job. Yes, we do get a lot of disgruntled people coming in for whatever reason. They might be paying a traffic ticket or have to pay child support to somebody they're just not really fond of right now. So we do the best we can. We deal with them on a daily basis. It's very rewarding. Anytime that we can help somebody through the process and make it easier for them, it's a great day. We can't always help them. We're limited by what we can tell them. We're not attorneys. But it's a very rewarding job, and I love working with the people that do come in every day and trying to make their day easier.
I can't add to that. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's the mindset of trying to help people, to support people, to get their questions answered as quickly and as speedily as it can be done in a pleasant manner. And it's tough. Going into a government agency at whatever level is not not fun. And it can be very intimidating, but most especially going into the court, the office of a court. So I think it's to be pleasant, to be helpful, and to do it in a respectful manner.
Both of you are acquainted with the electronic transfer of appeals records. Tell us a little bit about how that's working in Adams County and what possible future applications that might have. What might it open up to the county or to the state in the future?
Well, it speeds the process. It speeds the ability of us to get our records to the other system or the other court. I think it was commendable of Randy Fries to create this program or get this program started. his association with Carla Bender, who is the appellate clerk, and Randy together initiated the pilot of this program. And I think Randy's self-initiated buying of the scanner precipitated the ability to do this program, and I think it's going to be statewide much quicker and save us in postage.
Excuse me. I've worked with this program since it was put with us to be the pilot project. It is making appeals much more efficient. We still have some kinks to work out, of course, with any new program or new pilot program, but it does. Our scanning, it's already in place. We, with a couple clicks of the button, it's off to the appellate court. Before that, we were having to copy the entire file and number it, and then make extra copies for all the attorneys. Now they have the ability to get online once it's been filed and make their brief from what they've received electronically. So it's definitely a much more efficient process. How it will impact anything in the future, I don't know, but I would say it could only make things much better for anything to come.
Okay, we are now going to ask questions from the audience, and we'll go through as many of them as we can, as time permits. And again, you have a 1-minute response time for each question. Do the circuit clerk staff, who serve a wide range of people in the community, should they go through the processes such as study circles or Ruby Pain training? If not, should they? This is the study circles or Ruby Pain training.
I feel, having worked in the circuit clerk's office for 18 years over the course of my career, it requires much more, hands-on. You definitely have to be hands-on. Learning as we go. I'm still learning new things every day. So I'm sure that anything geared towards putting a group of people together that are there for the same reason, I'm sure that would be very helpful. But until you do the day-to-day, it's just hard to know what's going on. So.
I would say at this point, any training and education that we can do for our employees is good. If it costs money, I'm afraid the answer would have to be no.
If you are elected to this office, how much of the daily work will you do as circuit clerk as opposed to your deputy assistants?
I believe that being a hands-on, everyday, full-time clerk is very important, and I intend to be that kind of clerk. I want to learn every position. I know Lori has worked there for 15 years, but I want to learn every position and be able to fill in and do each thing as necessary. So, yes.
I as well intend to be a very hands-on working circuit clerk. I already know the positions very well. I will do as much as I can, especially since I don't intend to replace a position, at least for the time being, until our budget is in a better place. I'll be definitely pulling my weight as I do now.
Are there ways that the circuit clerk's office can make court cases easier for parties who represent themselves? If so, how specifically?
We do all we can for those pro se people. We provide forms if we do have them, but there again, we're very limited on what we can and cannot do for them as we aren't attorneys. There is a website, IllinoisLegalAid.org. It's where we refer a lot of people when we're not able to help. Otherwise, unfortunately, we're not able to help them as much as we would like to.
I think Lori's answered it perfectly, so there's nothing I can add to that.
How do you issue a bond?
Quite frankly, I don't know. I'll be very honest, I don't know. I'm sure you do.
If someone comes in to post bond, we usually first call up to our jail just to verify how much they actually need and if they can actually bond out. Then we fill out all the necessary paperwork, collect the right amount of money. We do take credit cards now, so they may have to go through that process. So that's it.
Do you support web access of court records where privacy is duly considered?
Well, I know we have attorneys every day wanting us to get our documents online, but yes, with all of the privacy issues, you have to be very cautious in what we let out there. So at the moment, no. I don't feel comfortable doing that yet. We're just a few years into our imaging process, and I think we need to get more familiar with that and what will be out there for the public before we release it.
I would totally agree that we have to be very careful with the technology and what goes on the net and access that people have. It's a concern in many regards in many other areas, and I think especially in the court and court records, it would be vitally important.
Adams County is one of the few Illinois counties that allow the deputy circuit clerk to be a member of a labor union. Do you agree or disagree with union membership for the deputy circuit clerk?
Well, I think it is one of few. There's 102 counties in Illinois, and we have, I think there are about 3 union clerks across the country or across the state. I find I don't have a problem with the union at all, but I do have a problem with how when you go to negotiate a contract, Randy at one point a few years ago was negotiating a contract across the table from Lori. So it's like, who are you going to represent, the taxpayer or the union? And that's where my concern comes in. We are under budget constraints, and she has made the comment that if we can't keep employees if we don't give them raises. We have the longevity in the clerk's office and the loyalty and the commitment that these ladies have made, I think is pretty amazing. So I would prefer that it not be a union, but it is a union and it's not going to change.
Well, of course I am union, so I do support it. I feel like if anything, it's given me a better idea of both sides. I know what we go through as employees, and I see what Mr. Freeze has gone through on his side of it too. So I feel it gives me a better understanding of how those things work. I would support it. I mean, the reason I wanted to be union was job security, so that when we do get a new elected official come in, that I can feel secure about my job and not have to worry that every time we have a newly elected person that I'm going to lose my job, because I do have a family to raise.
Will you freeze your salary or take a pay cut?
Well, it's my understanding that the circuit clerk's salary has already been frozen for the next 4 years. So it has been frozen at its current level, and
it has been frozen, and I most certainly would take a pay cut if it was necessary to keep the office going as efficiently and effectively as possible.
Are security precautions used by court adequate for your staff and the citizens who use the court?
I feel it is adequate. Our sheriff's department does a fine job of scanning people as they come through. It makes us feel more secure, especially since we're right at that front door and first person that they're probably coming to if they're not going on to court. I believe it's as good as it can be at the moment.
I would agree that it's adequate and safe for people that's coming into the court. One of the things I was looking at trying to make changes in the future or make things more efficient in the office was having collections being able to be made at different times, since people coming in to make payments come from 8:15 to 4:30. That's the time many of them are working, and to expand the access. But unfortunately, because of security and the need for that, it would be too costly to have the courthouse open afterwards. So, no, our security is very good and very adequate.
Is the current data storage system in the county clerk's office adequate? If not, how would you improve the system and keep the improvements in budget? Yes.
Well, I think the document storage is one of the areas that we're trying to, it costs, it's about $185,000 in the budget. And that is an area that we, if we can improve by putting more on film and digitizing it, that we can save on the storage.
File space is definitely at a premium in our building. It's very hard to find space. So we have things boxed up and they're hard to find at times. So we definitely need to look at ways of implementing the microfilming as it's available for us.
Do you find the staffing requirements currently used by the office sufficient to cover the caseload?
Most days, yes. Our judges, you know, we do the best we can. We have lots of court cases scheduled every day. We have long-term employees, so they're entitled to time off, and we do get short at times, just like anybody else. But we always, our staff is very versatile. They're multitasking. They're cross-trained to the best of our ability, and I think they do a wonderful job at keeping everything going.
I would say the same thing. I said that when we did our discussion with the Herald-Whig, that the strength of this office is its employees. They're cross-trained, as Lori said, and I've said. They do their duties very well, and they're loyal, committed, dedicated staff, and I don't see how we can improve on that, at least.
Do you plan to be a full-time circuit clerk or part-time like the present circuit clerk?
I plan to be a full-time circuit clerk. I would question that comment, but I plan to be a full-time circuit clerk. I know that we'll do what it takes. If it takes being there well after hours, I'm there to do the job the best I can.
I do plan to be a full-time working circuit clerk. I'm there every day from 8:15 to 4:30 are our office hours. We're there late if we need to be. So yes, I do plan to be there full-time.
Thomas Jefferson once said, quote, "The government that governs least governs best," unquote. If elected, how would you apply this concept? Would you like me to read it again?
Please.
Thomas Jefferson once said, quote, "The government that governs least governs best," end quote. If elected, how would you apply this concept?
Well, I would take that to mean that the less involvement the government has in how our office runs day to day, maybe it runs better. But our office we run on all of the laws and local rules that work for our office. So I don't feel that really applies much. I feel that the laws serve us well, and we follow them as best we can and collect everything we're supposed to do based on those laws.
Raja, I think you're going to have to repeat that again.
Thomas Jefferson once said, quote, "The government that governs least governs best," end quote. If elected, how would you apply this concept?
The government that governs least, unfortunately, the circuit clerk isn't the government. It's the county board that would be doing their dictates, and the legislature. I would hope the legislature would stay out of our business and let it run as smoothly as it can. If I was the government as the clerk, I would want to use my employees and get their information, and we all work together as best we can to provide the service to the people of Adams County.
Okay, and that concludes all of our questions from the audience. Now we will have closing statements from the candidates for circuit clerk. Again, you have 2 minutes each, and again, this time we will start with Laura Donahue.
Thank you again, and I want to thank the league for this opportunity. I am happy to be here tonight discussing my candidacy for the circuit clerk's office. A lot has been made about experience in this race, and I'd also like to say that this race is about leadership. I've been a leader representing Western Illinois, our state and our community. I was ever so fortunate to be in public office for 20 years. I made the tough decisions and answered the hard questions and was a leader in our state when it was thriving. It was hands-on, involved, and informed, and I've been involved in our community and viewed as a leader, and I know that as circuit clerk, the office would benefit from those traits that I possess. As circuit clerk, I will be there to advocate for all constituents of all Adams County. I've worked for people from all walks of life, from the individuals that are seeking assistance in our chart where to begin, to the attorneys and judges that need assistance as well. I know that there is really no problem too big or too small. Each needs to be treated with the same amount of care and respect. The taxpayers are there for us to serve, and they need to feel as though they are getting the best assistance possible. I've been a leader for a long time, and I want to continue to thrive in that role and make a decision that benefits those who work for me and for whom I work for. My family and I have devoted our lives to Western Illinois. I'm here to continue to serve. I believe that I am the right person at the right time to be our Adams County Circuit Clerk. I'm asking for your support, and I ask you for your vote.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for having me tonight. I appreciate being a part of this forum and to let the voters of Adams County know what I have to offer if elected to the office of Circuit Clerk. I am not an experienced politician. It's my first time running for any elected office. Well, other than the union, I guess. But I do believe that my 18 years of experience in the circuit clerk's office still makes me the most qualified candidate for the job. If elected, I will be a hands-on working circuit clerk and would look forward to serving the people of Adams County, and I would appreciate your vote on November 6th. Thank you.